Hi, this is Danes, joined here by Froskurinn. You've been today in the Casters deck in this second day of playing, second day of Worlds.
Yep.
By now, how are you living this?
I mean, it's my first time doing World. How to explain? Normally, when I'm invited to Worlds, I have to fly in from the LPL, and I'm always a guest in either the LCS or the LEC or the stadium, wherever we are. So to finally be in a position where we're hosting Worlds, or at least hosting the play-in stage from our own domestic stadium, is really cool and super laid back. It kind of feels like another week at the LEC, actually.
Mm-hmm. How hard have you been studying the teams?
Very intensely. So the week after regional qualifiers, a lot of people take a minute to take personal time off and really get breathers. But Ender Vedius and I stayed and worked the entire week in building the play-in group draw show, and just probably the amount of collective VODs that we watch. It was you clock in at 9 a.m., you're watching VODs until 6:30, and you're just making these documents.
Whoa.
And I'm being very literal here. I have a document of just play-ins teams that is 50 pages long. About the VOD review and timestamps and highlighting things that I noticed about trends about them. I think Ender has one that's a similar length. Vedius does his hour and a half long podcast, which is basically his prep that he has now put into another form of content. So collectively, the amount of preparation that us three from the LEC have output, I feel very strong about our representation of the LEC team or the play-ins teams.
I guess because it's not only papers and studying, it's also watching games.
Yep.
Is it? So because for us, you, the casters are gods, you know everything, and you're
that's putting us a bit too high up.
Yeah, is there any team that you had no clue about? I never heard of him.
I think it was really hard to study on. Actually, the LMS teams are really hard to gauge and to really study because I think that there's just so much top heaviness in the regions. Same thing for the LST and even VCS to a lesser extent. When you have regions where teams have really far gaps in between certain teams, then you literally look into the planes. You're they should play through this, but ultimately, if the mechanical skill, let's take Isurus Gaming versus Splice, for example.
Yeah.
Stylistically, I actually think Isurus is and Splice are a really good stylistic matchup for each other because they're usually slower pace. It's more about objective trading, macro trading. They don't necessarily attack in lane, kill you repeatedly. But the reality is that when Isurus face Splice might just be that much better individual players. That even though Splice are considered a slow team, that they don't attack you in lane, that's only against their domestic competition. And in the play-ins, you really start to see a lot of that overlap, not just in the pool 1s to the pool 2s and pool 3s, but even within pool 2s in different regions. So it's always really hard to gauge, and usually when you're VOD reviewing and trying to figure out if a team is good, if a player is good, you're literally just checking for fundamentals. Yeah. Do they know how to use mid-priority? Do they understand objective setup? Do they know and figure out lane assignments? How are their mechanics in lanes and things like that?
Maybe it's too early to say, but as far as you have seen the teams now, is there any team that when you were studying you say, okay, they're going to be good or they're going to be so bad, and now it's totally different? It's okay, I misstudied.
I know that Unicorns of Love is very good. I know that they were upset by Mammoth. And here's the thing, I didn't think Mammoth was going to be good at all. I was actually really down on the Oceanic team because when I watch Mammoth, and especially in the OPL, I feel like they profit off of unforced errors, where teams that they're facing just mess up, and then Mammoth just walk away with the game. But they don't necessarily even force the error, and they don't capitalize on it. They just continue on in their direction. Now the caveat to this is that Triple, I think, is really smart and very good, and he actually forces mistakes from players and will punish it. So aside from Triple, I just don't like Mammoth's playstyle. But then now seeing it in action, I'm okay, that playstyle is hyper effective in a play-in stage because if you just play so defensive, we saw it, every single game has mistakes in it right now, even from down one with Nuclear and Barrel being contested in the bot lane. So if you just play scaling and play so defensive, you know the other teams will mess up, so you just need to minimize your mistakes and then you walk away with victory. And I think that's kind of the key takeaway.
Do you have any favorite team for this playing phase?
I really like Unicorns of Love, I really like Isurus Gaming, and I really like Flamengo. I think with Isurus Gaming that they have one of the strongest understandings of different fundamentals in macro about how, especially to secure different objectives and setup. I think Unicorns of Love are the closest to having mechanics, having good macro, having flexible champion select, so I would consider them like the closest to the jack of all trades emerging region. I don't think they'll make the same mistake against Mammoth where they just like get outscaled. I think they'll move away from that. And I think Flamengo have a really great like their reactionary plays are really smart, and they see opportunities that other emerging regions do not see. Whereas like League is very formulaic, and you saw it against Down One that Flamengo can very quickly read like the state of a map or the state of a situation and figure out, okay, this is what we need to be, or this is what we need to be doing. The unfortunate thing is then it's Down One versus Flamengo, and you see where the mechanical consistency comes in, where Lucy makes like a crazy outplay in the bot lane and he looks like a god, and then they need that hook to hit and it doesn't hit in that one instance, and then suddenly they die.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you also, how important do you think the new meta is going to be for these worlds? Because we're seeing apparently crazy things like first pick Renekton every game. Like, yesterday we saw Heimerdinger AD carry, crazy things. How important do you think is it going to be? And is it going to give to small teams the chance to win big teams?
I think the question is that as more teams join us from their bootcamp so far, that the meta will actually just change, because the meta is just a scrim meta that evolves over time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily anything too much to take away from play-ins. Like, I don't think that we'll continue to see Renekton a priority pick as we move into the group stage. I think things like Vigar, Galio, Cassiopeia will start to rise up and be seen a lot more. I think Echo Jungle might actually find some success when some of the bigger teams show up. And maybe even some more curious picks that I've heard whisperings of. But I don't think the play-ins meta has A, been established yet, or B, is indicative of the larger worlds meta.
So last question, and more personal, how important is it for you, or how good, how bad, how amazing is for you to have the opportunity to cast LPL teams once again?
I'm so excited to be able to cast the LPL teams. I've been a massive Doinby fan for ever, basically his entire career. I was there when he entered the league, and if G2's not going to win it, I would not feel bad if it was Doinby that lifted the trophy. I'm very stoked about it.
That would be nice, yeah. So is there anything you want to say to the people who are watching us?
Thank you so much. Be sure to cheer on your favorite team, and please watch the play-ins, because these players have such good stories, and we try to make sure that we tell them as authentically as possible.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much to you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next interview. Bye-bye.